I'm back. I'm back here. I'm back in our message boards where I'd been banned by the fucking site theme because it caused a bug in Simple Machines and we couldn't get to my account to fix it. I'm back in your life, Radio Free Nintendo. I'm James Jones, and I'm back. I'm joined today by Mr. John Lindemann.
It's great to be here, James.
I didn't have adjectives. John gave everybody adjectives last week, if you missed that episode. And he referred to Greg as effervescent. I can't remember what he referred to Guillaume as. I apologize.
Guillaume's transcendent, and I think everyone...
Transcendent. Oh, okay.
The transcendent one also is another moniker for him.
The transcendent one. Oh, I see.
Jesus.
I have not approached such an exercise. I think I did that the first day I hosted. I would try to give everybody titles, and then I realized that was going to be a lot of fucking work, and said no thanks. But I appreciate the attempt to mix it up. This conversational opening is also an attempt to mix it up. Also joined by Mr. Guillaume Veillette.
Good evening.
Both my condolences to you on now having the life of living with the figure collector, which is a dangerous proposition.
That's true.
But also on having to talk to 8-year-olds and not knowing how to handle it.
Actually, he was a good 8-year-old. He was not hard to talk to, but it was
okay.
It was just puzzling. I had to dig a little bit to understand who was patient zero of the sudden success, popularity of Ocarina of Time in 2025.
The challenge with 8-year-olds is they're past the age where you can, if you just want to move the conversation somewhere else, you can go hey, do you like trucks? Mm-hmm. Because there's a age band of let's say 3 to 5 where you could just be hey, do you like trucks? And you're probably going to get out of whatever conversation you're stuck in.
Yeah, they're kind of like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park where you can wave the flare and they'll go and chase it.
This is also a thing you can do for a period of that age. Hey, what do you know about dinosaurs? You're going to get told 1,000 probably incorrect facts about dinosaurs, but it gets you out of any conversation you don't want to have anymore. By 8, they've established mental object permanence, and so you can't just throw confetti in their face and run away anymore. The ages where this applies are different for girls. It's a little bit of a different game there, but fundamentally, you can still play it. You just have to know the variation on the rule set. Lastly, joined by Mr. Greg Leahy.
Ahoy, everyone.
I don't have any kind of weird digression. I ran out of digressionary material here. But Greg is here, so that's fine. We're good. Oh, damn it. Now I have to go look it up. There is I became aware of a 1980s British film creator who a documentary is out on him now. He didn't make good movies. He made the kind of movies where it's the same writer, actor, director, lead character, wrote all the music for it, action film shit, bodybuilder types. I'm trying to remember the name of the documentary. A documentary about his stuff just came out. It's all shot on VHS. And he got banned from distributing his movies in the UK after the first one because it got put on the naughty list, which is very funny for being too violent. What I have seen, they are amazing, so I will get that to you because I think there's probably content to be mined there. Beautiful, stupid content. But, hey. Sorry, fireworks started going off. This is bad timing for me on that. I'm back. I was out last week. I was traveling for business. I went to Minneapolis. Very nice city if you're there when it's not minus 740 degrees Kelvin. So, yeah, I had a good time. I got to play a little bit of stuff, though, on the plane, mostly because we've had to divert wildly because we were basically chasing a storm front. So a normally 2-hour flight turned into 3.5. I watched 2 movies on a 2-hour flight. It's not good.
That's pretty crazy.
I got home at 1 a.m. on a flight that was supposed to land at 11. I was oh, this sucks. This sucks so bad. I watched not just 2 movies. I watched one of them was a Marvel movie. Those things are indulgent. They are long.
Which
it did
movies?
Not matter. I watched The Day the Earth Blew Up, which is that Looney Tunes movie that Warner Brothers tried to kill.
Okay.
It's not the one they actually killed, which is the Acme versus whatever. Mm-hmm. It's the one they tried to kill. and I watched the Anthony Mackie vehicle for Captain America, which
okay.
He just doesn't do it for me. Thunderbolts, though, which I had seen on the flight over, and I actually saw it in theaters as well. Very good, and do recommend.
Okay.
But this one, it's fine. It's fine. It's inoffensive. Harrison Ford doesn't give a fuck, and that's the best part of the movie. That's the best. That's by far the best part of the movie, is the degree of fucks that he does not give.
Yeah, I think I saw a video of him actually directing traffic in Manhattan as well, which I found amusing.
Yeah, no, that checks out. That seems like the kind of thing he would like if he's not busy crashing planes.
Yeah,
which is his go-to activity. Like look, the man likes crashing his planes. I'm not going to get mad at him about it. That's his that's his God-given right to crash every plane that he ever sets foot on. But it doesn't help the movie. Unless I guess the movie is the movie about him on a plane. So, whatever.
Does the plane crash in Air Force One?
It should have though.
I just remember him saying, "Get off my plane" to one of the villains.
I mean, it's basically like the precursor to Snakes on a Plane, where it's just like this movie only exists for this one shot.
That what you've mentioned there about his sort of proclivities about crashing planes, but we have a new contender for the most unrealistic aspect of that movie is that the plane doesn't crash.
That's true, because he does. He absolutely crashes. I think he's crashed like 2 or 3 planes, usually while he's filming something, which he doesn't do that much of anymore. It's like, how do you keep doing this? It's impressive. I'm impressed by his ability to do it, and especially at his advanced age. Like I'm too afraid to crash a plane. So he's done it and walked away. The name of the documentary is Mancunian Man, which is not a term that I was familiar with until I became aware of this movie. It's on Tubi for free.
A man from Manchester. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The legendary life of Cliff Twemlow. Twemlow.
It's certainly news to me as well. I guess it goes to show the terrible power of being banned under the Video Recordings Act or whatever it was called in the 80s.
Anytime you get the opportunity for action star, writer, producer, director, composer of his own films, you're really heading for something that's going to be good. And by that I mean bad.
Even Stallone didn't compose the music. I mean, he knew where to draw the line somewhere.
I wish he
had.
Now,
Frank Stallone, however.
yeah, maybe it should have been made it. Imagine how much better Cobra would have been if Frank had done the score.
Right.
All right, so his first movie was Tuxedo Warrior, which is like a spy thing. His second movie, the one that got him in trouble, was GBH, which stands for Grievous Bodily Harm. 1983.
That is, to be fair to him, that is a legal term over here. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto in America.
Sure.
Like
it's still very
silly. He didn't say, let me put these words together because they're going to sound ominous. Like, it's a thing.
I wish he had. That'd have made it even better. He was only the screenwriter, co-producer, and music and star. He didn't direct that. He had the good sense not to direct his own film. The sequel to GBH, GBH 2 Lethal Impact, aka The Manchester Mandate. These are amazing. These are amazing titles. Every one of these titles is amazing. I love it. Predator: The Quietus. It's beautiful. All right.
That I've actually heard of. So so something slipped through the net. Never seen it. I know it's got a terrible reputation. That's about the beginning and end of it. But there you go.
There's some good ones in here. There's some good, just absolute filth titles that are just excellent. Bad Weekend is one of them's called. Oh my god, he had a lot of albums. Holy shit, why are there so many albums? What the fuck? All right, well, now I know how I'm going to spend my long weekend. Anyway, so there was an opportunity to finish off Fantasy Life High, which I did. I was actually really close when I talked about it last time, and I sounded fucking incoherent as hell because that game's really hard to talk about. Having finished it, I'm only going to talk so much here about the post game, which I'm not worried about spoiling because there effectively is none, which is kind of disappointing. Like it it seemingly is promising you post-game. Like, there's this big open world area that only seems to exist to fill we want to have an open world area styled roughly in the vein of Breath of the Wild, with shrines that they actually call shrines that you use to rescue people that have been turned into items, unlike turned into mummies, but still, point remains. And you get those to, well, free people, not get upgrades, but still the point's there. There are little plant characters who are hiding throughout the level that you have to rescue. The camera is not built for an open world game, which to me strongly proves that they didn't intend to have one. Because you can't turn the camera up to look out at the horizon to see what's out there and spot things, which on a Breath of the Wild clone is a really wild choice to make. You can only look down at your character and see what's directly in front of them. Hey, is it hard to navigate the open world? Why, yes. Yes, it is. There are towers that you interact with tablets that they refer to as a weird pad. That is its name. That came from a mysterious civilization in the past. Okay. We get it. I get it. You did the thing. Good job. But the post game is really just, you can grind in these, none of the story happens there except for like the very brief window where they introduce the area. Like beyond that, you could play the entire game and never go back to that whole open world zone. Like it is effectively the equivalent of the underground in Tears of the Kingdom. Like it's there, but you don't have to engage with it at all beyond the one time they force you to go see it as a tutorial. Actually, Tears of the Kingdom is twice because towards the end of the game you go there. But like here, it's like you see it one time at the very beginning, and then they're like, "All right, you can go back there if you want, I guess." You can level up the zones in it by doing stuff in each zone, and it takes a really long time. And that will unlock events in the zone. It makes the enemies harder. It makes the rewards better in that zone. And also there are random events that will spawn in there. They don't spawn on a time cycle. It's like every time that area generates, all the random events are spawned. And those are ways that you can boost your development of the zone. But occasionally, and I mean like 1 out of 40 times, a rare one will pop that might be a boss battle or a thing you need to craft, like end game armor, that kind of stuff. You'll probably need to make it spawn like 15 to 20 times in order to craft all the armor you want, all the items you want to craft. So like, good fucking luck, I guess. That's what this game considers to be the post game. It's really tedious, and I bounced off it very quickly. And then there's the island development where you can Animal Crossing your island, but the game is so restrictive on what you're allowed to build without leveling up the island that it doesn't really strike as very fun. And I'm not really a big town village builder anyway, so it's like, this isn't really doing it for me. But yeah, like the main game is still very good. It's just like everything after you beat the boss, there's literally a character who goes, "Wow, there's a whole new world to explore now." And I'm like, "Oh, that'll be fun." And then he's like, "But it looks just like the world from before we fought the boss. Isn't that weird?" And I'm like, "Listen here, fucko. Come here. Come here, you fucking piece of shit." Not even the Xenoblade writers pulled that shit. They at least just waved their hands and said, "You just took you back to right before you fought the boss. You fucking asshole. Don't you tell me I'm in a parallel dimension that looks just like the last one." Fucking unbelievable. So that's kind of the end game there. It lacks a lot. It needs a lot of stuff that it just simply doesn't have. And I get it. Like the game wasn't an open world game until it's Hino decided it should be an open world game, and then just declared it by the fiat of being the guy who runs the company and also all of the director on every game that leaves the studio. You can do those things even if they're ill-advised. The game probably is better without it because they added a bunch of hooks to make you go there in the post game just to force you to do it. I didn't dislike my time. There's some interesting stuff to find. It's crafted in such an inarticulate and inelegant way that it makes exploring it frustrating because you can't tilt the camera. And it feels relatively unrewarding, especially when a lot of times you're just going back to the towers and changing. You can actually upgrade and downgrade the level of development of it as far as you've unlocked. You can take it down if you want to see lower enemies or something. You just basically spend your time going to the tower, increasing the development level, opening the map, seeing if the thing you wanted to spawned. If it didn't, lowering it, saving, and then putting it back up so it regenerates all of the events and see if it spawned that time. 16, 20, 30 times until the exact thing you wanted spawns, and then you go get it. And now you've got one of the 4 you need to craft the weapon you wanted to craft. Good job. Only 3 more remaining. And the only way to know where any of that stuff is go online anyway. Like, the game doesn't give you any hints. It is you live in a hintless world with this game, which is really frustrating. Like, there should be something in the game giving you indications on how to make those happen, because you have to do so much to even see that event. And it's probabilistically unlikely that you'll see it anyway. That, like, unless you're going on the fucking wiki that people are maintaining to find the loot to make the thing that has its recipes from wikis people are maintaining, but the odds you ever see that are so low that it's effectively not content in the game unless you're dealing with somebody who's online. So it's kind of my thoughts there. I wanted to have something new to talk about this week, and so in the Discord we got pinged. Let me make sure I get it by the right person, because I want to correctly attribute my harassment to the right individual.
Dave97,
yes, who linked to the YouTube video of Arcade Archive's Air Combat 22. I'm personally a bigger fan of Air Combat 21, but hey, here we are. This is a 1995 3D dogfighting game from Namco. And if a lot of things are going off in your head, like, you mean like Ace Combat? Well, no, because that game didn't exist yet. But yes, if you look at the PlayStation Ace Combat, it doesn't look as good as this, because this was obviously running on beefier hardware than that. But Ace Combat 1 bears more than a passing resemblance to what this game is, because this is 1995. This is very early. But how they decided to make an arcade game out of this is interesting. And when I say it like that, I mean bad. There's basically only 3 levels and a tutorial. And they're all just shoot down airplanes, which you think, let's say it's an air combat game, of course. And yeah, I mean, to a certain degree. But there's no, like, variety in how the missions are structured. There's no variety in the types of aircraft you face. There are multiple types of aircraft, but they don't really behave significantly differently. There's a couple bombers. They're slow, but, like, the fighters more or less behave the same. A ground suppression aircraft, the A-10 Warhawk, more or less behaves like a fighter, which, I mean, it isn't. Whatever, it doesn't make a huge deal. It is what it is. But the mechanics of how they made an arcade game here are really strange. They basically made a Ridge Racer game, but airplanes. And what I mean by that is, like, in a lot of Namco's racing games, and this is true of racing games as a whole in arcades, but Namco in particular did this, it would be just checkpoints on the track, and you had to keep hitting them because you're slowly losing time. If you're driving well, you're slowly losing time.
Yeah, so it's like Outrun.
Yeah, you're racing your quarter, essentially. Yep. But you're probably saying, well, James, how does that apply to an air combat game? And the answer is, well, you fool. If you get a little bit of time for every aircraft you shoot down, well, then in theory, you could play this game forever. Aha! But what if you only get 2 seconds? Or 3 seconds? Well, then you will not complete it in time. And you will have to feed this machine another quarter. It's got 3 difficulty settings and an easy difficulty plus tutorial, which I'm not counting in the 3 levels. The first level, you are over the water and you are being scrambled to intercept. You shoot down 6 airplanes. If you're playing on the harder difficulty, it's like 10 airplanes. That's it. That's the difference. Then you do an aerial refueling mission. If you get good at that, you could do it in about 3 seconds, which is what I did the third time I played it. Then there's a mission where you're over the land and you're told you're en route to the target, but you have to suppress these fighters first, and you shoot down more fighters. There's some bombers. At this point, the enemies might start using chaff to block your missiles. Probably not, but they might, depending on your difficulty setting. And then you're over the water again, and you're told we're coming up on you're connected to satellite. You're coming up over the enemies. Actually, this is where the aerial refueling is. We're coming up on the enemy's target. It's the aircraft carrier, but first you're going to need to suppress the air cover. And again, you're back fighting aircraft again. You down them all, and then the game teleports you deeper into water, and now there's an aircraft carrier. You hit all the targets on the aircraft carrier, and the game ends. We are talking sub 5 minutes. If you are playing on the hardest regular difficulty, presumably the hardest difficulty period, I haven't been able to clear it on that one. If you're playing on easy, that's it. Game ends, title, high score screen, credits, back to the main screen. If you're playing on the higher difficulty, and presumably the other one, it does all the stuff of like, good job, everyone. And then it goes, enemy fighter approaching, and you get stuck in this dogfight. It's actually pretty good because they're very evasive, and the timer's just ticking down. But there's no way to get any more time because there's no other enemies to shoot down. It's just this one guy, which is very Ace Combat. That there's one guy at the end. Like, you've done the mission, you're like, I got this shit done. There's one guy. I'm gonna down this motherfucker and be out of here. And then you spend 15 minutes on the mission and like 30 minutes on this one guy. But mostly because he cheats. In this case, if you don't down him, like I had him completely dead to rights the whole time. I just couldn't finish the job. In the 45 seconds, your pilot goes, I've lost control! And then it spins around on screen, and then he ejects from his aircraft, and the game goes to the high score screen. So you still won, but you didn't win. He'd say I lost control because the thing that appealed to me beyond the curiosity of like, okay, is this the Ace Combat people? And I'm pretty confident. I haven't checked it out, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty confident there's some overlap here from some of the things I see. But what is very funny is these motherfuckers just keep talking all the time. They are saying the most inane now, it's not like, was it Raiden? Where they were talking about like their favorite coffee and shit. That was on the Xbox. This is like it's supposed to simulate combat chatter. So it'll be like, I'm on him. I see him. Good luck. Fired. Missed. Bad luck. Chaff. And it's just like interjections being thrown out. But once they start dodging you, you start getting into dogfighting, which is kind of a weird experience in this game. It feels a little hard because how the enemies are represented on screen. I mean, this is meant for giant 4:3 monitors. It's kind of hard to see them when they're at distance, and the radar's not very good, and the turning radius doesn't feel good because there's no control of the rear flaps of the plane. It's just the air brake. So you can't like push the plane left and right. So you can't use the wings to turn and also the tail to push, which gives you a lot more maneuverability because you can push into a turn, and that effectively is the equivalent of drifting in Mario Kart. You can get a real nice turn going. So the turns feel real stiff. But he's pulling an Embleman maneuver. Wow, that's a great maneuver. Wow, he's good. It's like, he's so evasive. It's just like they're just throwing out these random interjections about how hot this guy is and how they're all really like, wow, an Embleman. It's like, all right, guys, would you shut up? I'm trying to kill him. Please. I don't need this right now. I kind of just fucking laughed the whole time. Every time somebody would jump in with, I'm hit. I'm like, this is the best. This is so terrible. This is absolutely perfect. Fix nothing. This is beauty. This is art. This is the pinnacle. It's very, very short. So, like, well, I'm going to be clear. It's easy plus tutorial is your first difficulty setting. Your second difficulty setting is easy, which is the same difficulty setting, but no tutorial. Your third difficulty setting is called, I think it's called, like, Top Gun. There's more enemies on screen. Okay. And they're a little more evasive sometimes. And then your, like, third actual difficulty setting, I can't remember what it's called, but essentially there's just no continues. And so if you don't clear the game on a quarter, your game is over, which is impossible. And it's just keeping track of how many enemies you killed. And so, like, it's a high score to see who can kill the most enemies. But otherwise, it functionally doesn't play materially different than Top Gun that I can perceive. So, like, it's just not good. It's also incredibly short. And also, if you buy the Switch 2 version of this thing, I think it's $15. Now, I want to repeat, I cleared this game. It's $17. It's $15 for the Switch 1 version. I cleared this thing, I am not joking you, in about 3.5 minutes. I cleared the hard mode in about 4 minutes. Now, there are, obviously, it's Arcade Archives. There's some other modes. You can play the game in Japanese if you so choose. You shouldn't, because you won't get he's doing an Immelman maneuver, which he did do. He did, in fact, do that. You can't do those. It'd be nice if you could. But this is one of the most threadbare Arcade Archive games I've ever played. It's an impressive degree of just, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. There is.
Well, I feel like that was basically what you could expect from arcades back in the day. Like, the more impressive the game was, like, graphically, or like the more immersive the experience, the bigger the cabinet, the more it was just like, munch your quarters very quickly.
But I feel like G-Lock Air Battle had more than 3 missions. I feel like G-Lock Air Battle had more variety in the operation too.
But again, this is a very early kind of polygonal graphics.
Yeah.
You think of you think of Virtual Racing, like that was a single track. Ridge Race is a single track, which obviously is part of the same Arcade Archives 2 kind of initiative. I guess they were trading on the novelty of, wow, you've never seen 3D graphics this sort of convincing before, and therefore the expectation was that it wouldn't have to be more than one racing track or anything that deep in a case like this either. So obviously the problem you've got here, I guess, is that I'm assuming the emulation and the development of these early 3D polygonal games is significantly more complex than what Hamster has been doing in the kind of original Arcade Archives run. And it's really cool that they have got to this point where we can sort of see some of these games that are much less well-travelled in terms of being re-released and, have the opportunity to look at them. But the price to kind of content ratio is not likely to be something that a lot of people are going to find extremely appetizing.
And this was a Super System 22 game. That's what the 22 is. It's not the 22nd game in the series. And amongst other Super System 22 games is that Ridge Racer, which was 93. I want to say the first game was Japan only, called like Sim Drive. But this is a couple years after this hardware was out. So like Ridge Racer is, I think, the first one internationally. That's 93, and this is 95. But I don't know. I can't think of other. I mean, Time Crisis is a 22 game. But I can't think of any others. I would assume the Alpine games are. That was the ones that had the big ski setups that are really silly. But Namco, I want to say the 22, 22 was around for a while. I don't know if that was replaced by Triforce, or did they use something between then and Triforce? It must have, because Triforce was like 2002. Yeah, I don't know what they were using between then and but like Namco was big. You're right. Namco was big on the big amusement things, but the pricing equation here is just not correct. Like Did
you try the caravan mode, which is the one where I guess you get the online scoring leaderboards? I
haven't done it yet. No.
I guess that's what's left.
Yeah, that's it. That's
basically
content-wise. I could play the game in Japanese, and the bad voice acting is such a part of this. It's so flat and so just it's an Immelman maneuver. Wow, good aversion. I'm like, okay, guys. Got eyes on the prize here. But it does look really neat. Like, it has a good look to it. It does, you can see the bones of something there in this game. Like, I would have preferred just a few more opportunities to do some stuff in it, because while the controls are fucked, because there's no, you can't push the jet around by its tail. And my body just wants to do that. It makes dogfighting really hard. It still feels good to like just down something and or like to get on them and try to gun them down, which the game obviously doesn't want you to do that much because that's really hard. It wants you to use missiles, but there is something fun about getting position and holding it long enough to gun someone down. It just takes more work and takes more dogfighting. But with the timer, you really can't do. I wish I could just disable the timer, because I'm playing it on Arcade Archives. I could just add another coin and press start. All it does is interrupt my gameplay. It doesn't actually impact me at all. Hamster, could you just hack this thing to not have the fucking timer? I understand that's the point of the game. You could still have it for that last boss fight, I guess. But for the rest of the game, nobody here is accomplishing anything. All you've done is created an odd artifice where I have to pretend to put a quarter into my Switch 2. And then pretend to press the start. I guess I do technically press the start button, even though Hamster mapped the start button to Y, because of course they did. There was an Namco System 21, if anybody's curious. Yeah, it's neat. It's a neat game. I want to be clear. It is a neat game, and you should try it if you ever happen across one of the machines. They probably have all died, but if you get a chance to touch one, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, don't buy this. Don't buy this. I bought it mostly because I wanted to have something to talk about on the show, and I was curious. And now your curiosity has been sated by me. Congratulations. And then last thing I'll talk about, because I'm going to open this up to the whole floor. Because I was playing Fantasy Life It was I, not God. I picked the wrong letter. I made it a fucking subtitle, and then I picked the wrong letter. Oh my God. Fantasy Life I. Because I've been playing that, I really wasn't giving much attention to Mario Kart. Which is funny, because I bought Mario Kart World, and then I immediately played, Welcome Tour. And then I bought Fantasy Life I, and immediately went and played that. And Mario Kart World just sat there. So I've been doing a lot of single player stuff. I had already beaten about half of the not the tour mode. What do they call the mode where you go through all the tracks?
Where you've got the Grand Prix, and then you've got the knockout tour.
Knockout tour. Tour.
You've got the cups for each kind of now.
Yeah, I had gotten the gold on about half the knockout tour when I stopped playing it for 150. And so I kind of went through that. But really what I've been doing is exploring the overworld, the free roam mode. Because I'm not really playing it online that much, and I don't really care that much for online racing. But I'm kind of impressed by all the stuff they've hidden in this game. There is so much just shit that you can just find. The blue buttons. There are so many blue switches. I drove around.
Yeah, you gotta think that at this point, because we're 4 weeks out or whatever, it probably is documented. Somebody knows how many. But anybody that cares to look knows how many there are. But I kind of like not knowing still at this point. I'm up over 310. So it's it just keeps going. I'm keep being shocked at how many more there are. Actually, I mean. Go on.
I think that I did see Justin Berube saying on Blue Sky that he found them all. He completed the overworld 100%.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
but it was it was very annoying because the game doesn't tell you where and how many even there are of those P switches.
No, well that's the thing. If you have the desire to do absolutely everything, the fact that it isn't telling you certainly with the P switches. It's not telling you, and the peach medallions is the tiles. It does tell you, as we've already covered, and I'm close on that. I've got 5 left. So the thing is, what that's led me to do is kind of say, okay, well, those areas where the question mark tiles are, which is actually in the vicinity of the tracks themselves. Let's kind of explore those a bit less, because I've pretty much found the stuff there at this point, apart from those few ones that are outstanding. And that's the thing, as I've pushed into these weird little corners of the map where it's have I been here? Have I done stuff? That's where all of a sudden it's there's a P switch there, there's a P switch there, it surprises me how much there's still, some stuff I haven't done, and, more, I'm over 100 on the peach medallions, and Yeah, not being wired to necessarily 100% this, at least at this stage. I'm kind of more comfortable not knowing, but eventually I might want to be like, okay, am I close or am I not?
I really don't have any interest in that. I just kind of wanted to see the world. And so I've been changing characters. I do like that if you look at them on the characters on the map, because they're already on the map. All the characters are already there. You can see how many of their costumes you've unlocked, or conversely, how many of them you haven't. And so I've just been kind of like grabbing somebody and taking over their body like it's a David Cage game and just co-opting.
You could have gone with the Matrix, but fine.
I could have. Yeah, but the David Cage one is fun because it kills the person after you do it because he's a good writer who makes good games. At one point, you take over the body of a guy and then take him to a digital David Bowie concert and then have sex with his wife knowing it's going to kill him. It's great. What a good writer this man is. But hey, I just like, that person's somewhere I haven't been and I have one of their costumes and they've got 5. Let's do that. And then I just fuck around for like an hour and just wander around and find stuff. And like a lot of times I found that if you hit a blue switch, you'll conveniently end in sight of another blue switch. It's like, huh?
Oh yeah, that's the thing with the blue switches is you never know quite. Like sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, there's a lake or a little island over there, and it spawns some coins on it, and you go there and you collect them, and that's it. Right, unremarkable. Right. Other times it takes you on this like bizarre odyssey across a huge stretch of the world. You end up like at some complete different places. Like you do all these crazy tricks and then you go in the air and then you're flying over this area and all that. So yeah, you really have no idea what it's going to be like, where it's going to take you.
So like I was over in the area that's coastal. It seems vaguely European. I can't remember what the name of that zone is.
Is it the Salty Speedway or whatever? With the giant Birdo mermaid statue?
Yeah. And I was trying to get over to the pirate area across the water, which your thing turns into a boat. And I got like 80% of the way there and hit a blue switch on an island as I was on the way. I was just in the middle of the water. And got so disoriented by the blue switch activity, it wasn't until it ended that I realized that it had taken me right back to where I fucking started. I was like, ah, damn it! To turn back out and go over that water again. But there was a blue switch right there, even though I had been doing blue switches in that area. It had me pointed directly at one that was like behind a pillar, and I did it and did nothing. I'm kind of also impressed about places you can end up. Like, I'm not always sure how to get out of these areas once I'm in them. I'm like, how the fuck do I get out of here? This is disorienting. I do wish there was a little bit more of a map. Like, a map that I could see while I was in the game. Because
it's interesting, is that you've got that in the bottom right, you've got that sort of bird's eye view, which can be useful if you're scouring for those tiles or for peach medallions or even P-switches and so, where it's like, okay, there's this, you can see there's a bunch of like elevated ground, but what's on it? Is it anything interesting or isn't it? And if you could just get close enough for that bird's eye view to give you a glimpse of, if it is hiding something, or it might be a pile of coins or whatever like that, that's kind of useful. And then, also just, and sometimes a P-switch mission can do this for you, like just getting up somewhere and maybe getting airborne above. Yeah. And then let's take the bird's eye view more literally ourselves and fly over it and see it. And again, can you see anything? Can you see any of those tiles? Can you just see any switches? Because generally speaking, the distance, the draw distance is not perfect. Obviously, certain things will pop in, but you can see a lot, and it'll give you ideas about other places to explore.
I got stuck in DK Pass like I was on fucking Mira. Like every time I tried to leave, I was back inside DK Pass again. I'm like, how do I get out of here? And I'd be like, a blue switch. This will certainly free me from the hellscape that is DK Pass. Nope. This purgatory is mine forever. It took me back deeper into... I was like, how do I get out of here? I just want to leave. Just having some kind of map that you could bring up to go like, okay, if if I just keep driving north, I will escape this frozen hellscape. Would be useful. Now, in theory,
I mean, you could always fast travel out of it anywhere.
You could, yeah, but like that's the thing. I just wanted to explore. Like,
sure, I know what you mean. Yeah, but I mean, I have every now and again, I've kind of just thought, I'm just going to warp out.
Yeah,
just like you just kind of feel like I mean, you've got the rewind, you've got a lot of flexibility, but every now and again, there's just that feeling of like, I'm just going to start fresh from somewhere and get my bearings again.
There is a sense of, because it is a bunch of tracks that they are a little bit self-contained, but they did a really nice job, like just driving around. They did a really nice job sort of, doing the thing that I look for at like a good theme park versus kind of like a marginal one, where they do like theme transitioning, where it feels like you actually are going from a place to a place. Which is actually harder than it sounds, because like if you think about the places that are next to each other in fucking Mario Kart World, it's not always clear how you would transition from Bowser Volcano Nightmare Zone to like Happy Jungle, but they do it, and from there you go to Luigi Haunted House, and I can't remember what's past Luigi's Haunted House.
It's Boo Cinema actually. It's not Luigi's.
Oh, you're right. It is Boo Cinema. It does look
very, very different.
It does look like Luigi's Mansion from the outside.
Well, that's in Mario Kart. Sometimes there's been a spooky track in Mario Kart going all the way back to the Super Nintendo, right? When it was just the ghost house or whatever. But like at a certain point, Luigi's Mansion becomes a thing. So it's like, well, now the spooky track can be Luigi's Mansion, right? But this is like, no, it's Boo Cinema.
But then you look at it.
There is no Luigi themed track. Which is kind of strange, isn't it? Like obviously we've got a Mario Brothers circuit and we've got the sort of classic Super Mario Kart type of like Mario circuit, but there is no explicitly Luigi themed track or an explicitly Yoshi themed track either. Obviously Yoshi's all over the place with the fast food thing, but yeah, it does show where you get 2 Warios because of the Galleon and the stadium, and you get 2 DKs because of the spaceport and the snowboarding.
And the impending DK game, probably.
Well, but that's the funny thing, isn't it? Because as you mentioned, you could see how many costumes people have got. DK and Pauline have conspicuously few.
They do.
Costumes. So yeah, I'm sure... Maybe, I don't know, with Neil's review brought this up like that for NWR, like you do feel like, that is probably not an accident though. So especially since it was confirmed that Pauline is in, since Mario Kart World launch, it was confirmed that Pauline is in, DK Bonanza. You kind of feel like they're probably going to get some costumes for Mario Kart World, to coincide with the launch of that in a few weeks.
I did think it was funny as well that they couldn't do anything with Pauline's design relative to what she looks like in this game because they hadn't announced it yet. So it's like, well, this is just Pauline from the last Mario from Odyssey. That's all we can do here. There's no other version of her that exists.
Yeah, and they're just the racing suit kind of, the kind of motorcycle outfits that all the female characters have got, I guess, going back to like Mario Kart Wii. Is that right? Like when because it had motorcycles.
Because the DS didn't have costumes, so yeah, it would have to be.
Yeah, and like it didn't have the motorcycles either, or any of that. So yeah, I think that's kind of where it started, where it's like, you could the Peach with the motorcycle outfit or whatever was a thing. And so, yeah, she gets that, but that's it. That's the only alternate. And DK gets kind of looks like, vaguely like Mario Striker's armor, but it's not exactly, we talked about this with Biker Yoshi. There's a few costumes in this that feel like they're just slightly off-brand versions of it's basically like a Captain Toad costume, but isn't it called Explorer rather than Captain?
Yes, he's called Explorer. And I've seen him just walking around too. Off the track.
It's odd why they can't. It's like,
just this is yours. Toad?
This is yours. You don't have to dance around it, right?
You have to make a knockoff version of your own content. I don't know why DK Pass is some kind of Magneto magnetic hellscape from which no one can escape, but apparently
the Bermuda Triangle, but it's a snowboarding.
But it's a snowboarding from a jungle resident.
But you do that's where you get Shy Guy snowboarding costume. I've no idea why Shy Guy, of all the characters, gets a snowboarding costume, but he does, and it's great. He's got his little knit cap sort of wiggling in the breeze. It's brilliant.
I don't know why Fishbones doesn't get any costumes. That's very upsetting. Like, I feel like everybody should have gotten at least one.
That's the thing. I mean, I've got pretty much all the costumes I think that you can get, but I haven't got all the characters you can get because there's quite a few of them that are just like that K-Mech spell, like random unlock thing. So I think Fishbone, I don't have it. I still don't have it.
I got it, like literally the first power up that got used on me was fucking K-Mech, and I got turned into Fishbone. I'm like, what the fuck?
The most recent one that was unlocked that way for me was Charging Chuck. That is quite a funny character, actually. Like the little animations he does when he's tricking are like all very specifically like Super Mario World things, like where they clap. Sort of, they raise their hands above, or they do the little, sort of charge that they when they run at Mario in that game and all. I do love the deeper cut references. Like there was one, even, as much time as I spent in the overworld at this point, which is more than I thought I would do. And mainly because I like finding those P missions. They're
fun.
I mean, it's a mix of stuff. There's a lot of different types. Some of them are races, very much like what you talked about with the, arcade racing games, aren't there? There's quite a few like that where it's like, okay, you're outside the Boo Cinema. Here's like essentially a recreation of a Super Nintendo Ghost House course. And you've got to, keep hitting those checkpoints to increase your time, to keep it going. And again, going back, I think this is something I said the first time we talked about this. I'm kind of impressed, to a degree, if that's the right word, by how willing they are to make these actually quite difficult, considering there is no difficulty curve because they don't know what order you're finding these in. And I worried that would just mean, well, they'll all be pretty easy, right? But a lot of them have a certain kind of an edge to them. And there's just a lot of different kinds. Some, like I said before, they could be a bit ho-hum. It's like, okay, yeah, just put a few blue coins there in this little populating area and then go get them. But some of this stuff with the parkour elements and all that, it's like genuinely like your tricky platforming type action in a racing game. You've got to time your jumps really well. You've got to manipulate your speed and everything to not over jump or under, don't not get enough air to reach something. It, can get really quite tricky, and just, keep finding those things, keep doing those things is, a lot of fun. And I was doing one of these the once where it's in the like coastal area with the white cliffs, and it's all about getting you airborne. And then when I did get airborne, it's like there's just a bunch of the like little Koopa guys from Super Mario World with capes on, just flying alongside with you. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what a reference to just pull out all of a sudden. Like, it's just that, like, 1 or 2 levels where that happens in Super Mario World. There's like that kind of stuff, both from a gameplay point of view and those just little nuggets of Mario kind of history, that it's kind of referencing in a way that, like I said, a lot of the time Mario Kart games have been weirdly kind of shy about. It's quite satisfying.
Yeah, it's a little Smash Brothers in that way. Not that like everyone's here, but it just there's a lot of little nods that will probably go over your head. Like even stuff that people like us who know this stuff really well. There's music I was listening to and didn't pick up what it was for a while. Now we've talked about the music mix in this game is very low and you can't adjust it. That's part of it. But some of it is I was busy, doing something else because it's Mario Kart. Like I don't necessarily I can have something on my laptop while I'm playing, especially while I'm just exploring the overworld in Mario Kart, which is a weird phrase in and of itself.
So you probably missed the soothing version of the music from Yoshi's Story that plays at night when you're in the overworld. Just and it's just
the really good one that does that is the opening of Yoshi's Island with the piano. That's great. That is genuinely great. Like what? And again, who would have thought that? Like a cinematic from Yoshi's Island getting an adaptation in musical form in a Mario Kart game. Like it's definitely going a lot of places that, Mario Kart games haven't gone before. And again, it's because of, what we talked about last week, closing out with the Birdman, that is a different kind of, musical accompaniment that you want when you're just sort of chilling in the world rather than the full go of just racing all the time. And yeah, with the day-night cycle as well, you have tracks that are kind of specifically, I've only ever heard that one at night time. So I'm assuming, and just the nature of it, right? It's just very quiet. It's very peaceful. Just seems apt for that. So yeah, it's pretty great. And yeah, much more Smash Brothers ish in terms of it just feels like, somebody somewhere, put up a list of like, here's like all these kind of favorite sort of tracks from a bunch of Mario and adjacent games over the years. Who wants to arrange something from them, and we get all this cool stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting back into it now. I've enjoyed, like, I haven't done a ton of racing, honestly. Like I'm enjoying, like you said, I'm enjoying the world a lot more than I expected I would. So maybe they were right. Like, I was always kind of looking forward to exploring the world, because if you listen to the show, you know that I do wander around big open worlds for inconceivable amounts of time. But I thought this game probably wouldn't have the same appeal, and it doesn't in the same way as like a Xenoblade or a Zelda game, where they put a lot of time and energy into the world and making it super interactive. Ultimately, you're on a cart. There's only so much you can do, but they maximize what they can do. Like, they get the most out of the limitations that interaction model presents, and that's impressive. So yeah, they did a really good job here. They built something unique that I really enjoy. That's it. I'm out. Punching out now. But then again, I guess I played 1 million hours of Forza Horizon, so what do I know? But this doesn't have the Forza Horizon classical That's what this game needs, John. It needs radio DJs that are insufferable for different reasons.
Yeah. I feel like Mario Kart could actually do that pretty well, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, somebody would have to talk, which is a little bit outside the norm here. What if it just makes noises at you, but you see the text at the bottom of the screen, what they're saying, so you can take your eyes off the road and read it, but you'll probably crash? That would be very funny. Mm-hmm. Don't look at it. Don't look at the joke. The joke's really funny, though. God, you can imagine it. Well, you can just look at that joke and have a good laugh. Well, you like to have a laugh, don't you? Oh, you drove off the side of Rainbow Road.
Yeah, it would almost, idiot. It would almost be a funny satire of Forza Horizon to say, like, because, those DJs on Forza Horizon are always, they just sound like I don't know.
Except for the classical music one.
Yeah.
Who's just the best. He's just the best.
Mm-hmm. Are they all from the UK, or is that just for, like, do they have like UK sounding some commentary in like Mexico, or?
No, they're not all. No.
Okay.
No. In fact, the classic music guy's from Australia.
Okay.
And so like he always bills it as he and the missus were on vacation this week. At the Horizon Festival.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what Mario game has like a surprising amount of like sustained voice acting in it, and I don't think I'm ready for Mario Kart to have like commentary by Toadsworth.
I think it would, but I think the thing is you have to have multiple channels, so you can get on like the Wario mix music, and then it's going to be Wario's commentary. No, not Wario, because he might be in the car. It'd have to be a Wario adjacent character who's not Wario. So it'd be like somebody from WarioWare.
Okay, so you're talking about a DJ. I was thinking more of like the guy who seems to just be there to butter you up or something, just like to keep talking.
Just there to glaze you the whole day? Yeah,
right.
that's Getting Glazed by Toadsworth is not the episode title. Just putting it out there right now. Because I don't want to think of what I'm going to have to search on WikiHow to make that work. But it's a mix. Like there is that part of the Horizon 2 where they're like, "Whoa, did you see this guy down at the Dirt Festival? Mm-hmm. He set a new record." But then there's also just like me and the missus went to go see the new Horizon season of Sport Track. It's so muddy and vile. I just wanted to sit down with a good book. The missus, though, is still riding. Like, dude, your wife is not. need a new relationship, brother. This isn't working out. She's still in the truck right now. I'm like, all right, well, didn't need that. Thanks for that thought. I don't need that. I don't need like weird, is this relationship dissolving in real time radio commentary? But the idea of Dribble and Spitz introducing music is very funny to me. I don't know why. It'd be very good. But yeah, Nintendo would never. But the idea of it just being while text is at the bottom of the screen distracting you and causing you to crash would actually be very funny.
Mm-hmm.
What if they did that with Smash Brothers? What if like there's a Smash Brothers assist trophy that just summons commentary and it just slowly covers up the screen?
Was Mr. Rossetti that at some point, or am I hallucinating?
Yeah,
this?
A little bit.
Because I don't think I feel like the Mr. Rossetti was an assist trophy and then he's been excised.
Yes,
because not all assist trophies. The Sin and Punishment assist trophy didn't come back.
No, it was it was kind of similar with the Final Smashes, where they got rid of a lot of the stuff that was like whole screen chaos.
Yeah, I mean, you still got like Nintendogs, like some things got to happen. I guess some of it, but Mr. Rossetti's been like, kind of dialed back, right? It was one of the things that was most emblematic of Animal Crossing, like early on, but like now it doesn't happen, right? So I guess it's just in keeping with that.
Yeah, I guess. And maybe like they got the joke out of their system and they're good now. Like they got to make the joke that time and they said, okay, we did it. We can move on. I like it. More chaos. Put more chaos. Like here's the thing. Mario Kart is chaos, especially if you're in first. I want chaos that affects everybody at all times. I want everybody to have to deal with the chaos, not just I want the person to have to deal with the chaos. Like there's a little bit of that with like the ink splatter, but even that got toned way down.
Yeah, but at the KMEC that we already talked about, right? Like everybody changes, and then there's like, well, there's going to be a bunch of that thing on the course as well, So there's like, well, there'll be a bunch of charging chucks or a bunch of those lobsters or whatever. So it's like, yeah, that's more that kind of thing, I guess. That one of those sorts of aspects.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it though. That's all I've got left to say. I've gone really long. Who wants to go next? Because I've spoke for a long time.
Well, it can be mostly. It can be shorter.
Okay,
for sure.
Go for it.
I've got some miscellaneous stuff to say first. Basically, I posted something on Blue Sky that turned out to not be true. So I'm sorry about that. I thought I was being very clever, and I was like, you know what? Like I've got these. I'm keeping my old Switch with the Switch 2, thinking like, well, I'm going to have most of my games on the giant SD card that I bought for the Switch 1. I'm not buying a similar card for the Switch 2 for a while because they're so pricey and also they don't exist. So I was trying to kind of make my setup a little bit cleaner. And so I was like, well, you know what? I can just basically have the dock for the Switch 1, plug it into the Switch 2, like for one of the power ports. And I thought it worked because I saw like, okay, I'm putting the Switch 1 in there. Okay, the screen lights up. I think I see that the battery thing is there. So, okay, so it must mean that it's charging. But no, it wasn't. I realized that after several hours when the percentage of charge hadn't changed, hadn't gone up. It really wants you to plug the dock directly, with the USB AC cord that it came with, right? So
yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, oh, look at how clever I am. Like I'm just it's a serial connection of like these two docks, but that didn't work. So I apologize for that, for like my 3 followers who care. I don't get a whole lot of engagement on Blue Sky. I think that should change.
Blue Sky is kind of non-engagey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got some opinions that I think I'm going to keep to myself. But it doesn't seem to be that great to discuss anything that's not one particular subject.
Isn't there something fairly ironic about saying that about a social media account?
I guess what I will say is boy, I wish Miiverse was still around.
Oh yeah, sweet stamps.
Because then I would be able to talk about the one thing that I really care to talk about on social media. Well, that and like posting pictures of wildlife that I see that don't seem to impress anyone.
I appreciate your pictures of owls and hawks. I do. I just don't really know how to respond to those posts. With like, I mean, I guess I could respond and say "nice owl" or "nice hawk," but I just don't really. I'm really adding much to the conversation by saying that. So
likes don't cost anything, and I don't expect like a dissertation for why you liked my frog with like a little piece
I'm
of.
sure I have liked some of your posts on Blue Sky. I'm a post liker.
Okay.
I do actually expect a dissertation on why you liked Guillaume's post. So,
I guess the message is that I don't. Apparently,
all right.
So I don't have to say anything.
The loudest.
I'm not really saying like you. I'm accusing everyone.
You're accusing
everyone
the
who's
internet.
on Blue Sky.
The loudest message you can send is the message you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe a lot of the people who are quote unquote following me on Blue Sky have been driven off the platform. I wasn't really posting much in the first place. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about? Fuck me. Oh yeah. So this could be useful for some people. Have you looked at your virtual console, like virtual cards on your system, and thought, boy, oh boy, there are a lot of timed demos or just demos or like stuff that I downloaded once and don't really care to see again, or maybe like a video, like a service for watching old anime that doesn't seem to even exist anymore. That kind of stuff. And you're like, I wish this wasn't polluting this section of my Switch. Well, there's a way that you can get rid of all that stuff. You don't have to face the fact that you participated in the ARMS test, all those years ago.
What if I want to, though?
Well, then you can keep doing that, sure.
No, but I'm saying, what if I want to make you do that, is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm saying that I can prevent you from making me do that. So you can just go online on like the web page, like the Nintendo.com for your country, and you go into your account, and there's a page, virtual game cards, that you can click on, and so that brings you to see, of course, your virtual cards. But if you click on a particular game card, you get the choice of moving it from, a different console that's tied to your account. But you've also got options, and when you click options, you can choose to hide the game.
Boo.
And that is fantastic. Yeah, well, I got rid of like 2 dozens of games that I didn't care to see again. Like that. I got suckered into downloading that free PETA cat thing. It was free. I downloaded it. I didn't know that I would be marked for life, but apparently I don't need to be. I don't have to wear this red letter forever. I can just hide it.
I still have the Oh Sir game card. Even though I may have inadvertently caused that game to briefly be pulled from the eShop.
Well, now you can hide your shame. You can just go click on that title, click on the options, click hide. And it was kind of fun. I was doing that because they were not on the same order on my Nintendo account and my Switch 2. So I was kind of comparing the two. But as I was hiding stuff online on the website, I could see like half a second later, it just like whoop, vanished from my list on the Switch 2. It was kind of neat to see. So anyway, this is just like for people who needed to know that information and didn't even know that this was a thing. This is a thing.
Did you buy 11 of those Legend of Nori games despite the fact you can't read a word of Japanese?
There were a surprising amount of Splatfests and, like stuff that you're never going to go back to.
Well, because you can't. They're gone.
Well, the test fire for 2 and 3, the ARMS test punch,
Test punch!
That's what they called it!
I know, it's still funny!
It
So Splatoon actually had 2 of them. There was the Global Test Fire, and then there was the Splatfest World Premiere.
Yeah, and then you got the third game as well. I think had a
Yeah.
pre-release thing. So yeah, you could have a few of them.
I'm gonna go hide Ace of Seafood because I can't live in a world with Ace of Seafood.
See, they have the
there's
utility.
there's actually, yeah, you can go see, of course, like a section where you can go specifically see the titles that you hid. So I hid the Switch Sports online playtest, Project Triangle Strategy debut demo, Bravely Default 2 demo, Daemon X Machina missions prototypes, Octopath Traveler prologue demo, like all the Mario Tennis, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, and yeah, like that. What was that called? That PETA game, Kitten Squad. So Kitten Squad is gone.
How will you sleep at night?
Yeah, Test Sponge, and yeah, it's all here. So yeah, so I hope that's helpful to people.
I'm gonna leave Harem Girl Isabel right where it belongs. Also, fuck everyone at that stream who made me buy Harem Girl Isabel, you fucking monsters.
And I guess, well, yeah, so maybe this won't be so quick after all, because I did start playing Balatro, and before a certain time, like I would have said Balatro because that's how it looks like it should be said to me, Balatro. But the creator came out and said, like, say it however you want, but I say it Balatro, and I've modified my habits. Like I say GIF, and all that stuff. I'm gonna say Balatro, damn it. So I've been playing Balatro, and yeah, like it was this is a game that I've been kind of avoiding because it's the kind of stuff that I easily fall into. I did these kind of like almost cookie clicker adjacent games. Like it's not. There's more to it than a cookie clicker.
I mean,
but you know what I mean.
Cookie clicker, to be fair to it, is actually more involved than most of those. Like it
sure.
There's a real game under the covers of that. It's pretending to be an idle game.
Yeah. But it is, like the numbers go up thing, and there are things that you unlock the more you play, the longer you play, and so yeah, like I fall easily prey to that. But with Balatro, I didn't immediately get into it first because I've never really played poker or anything, and you don't need to play poker to play Balatro, but it probably kind of helps a little bit. Like I was constantly initially looking up, like, okay, what is a flush again? I don't even understand why it's called a flush. But that's
the thing. You learn that, because I didn't know that either. I was like, man, but now I'm like, oh, royal flush, it's like you just see it coming. And that was always my problem with card games, is I was just like, it was like, hey, you want to play like poker? Like I've literally played poker games with people where I know none of the hands. And I've pretty much been, hey, is this a good hand or not? And they'll be like, son of a bitch, you just won the table, right? But I never knew it because it's like, if you don't really play it and see it a lot, like it's not intuitive at all. Well, it kind of is. Actually, I learned that it is, right? But if you're not really, yeah. It's like
I'm actually surprised.
This teaches you all of that very, very explicitly.
I'm actually surprised, John, that you don't have any poker background. I would have thought you would have played it at some point.
I have, yeah. I have, but
you just didn't know what it is.
Not well. Well, because that's the thing. It's like most people, I feel like they usually play cards like when they're younger. Their parents do it just to pass the time or something. That's kind of my experience. But in my family, just playing cards was never a thing. So I just never picked it up. I never learned it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I did end up learning a little bit, but yeah, like I don't know, like Balatro starts out a little bit slow, right? Because initially you don't have everything unlocked, so it's a little bit hard to make the points that it wants you to make to move on, to progress in the game. But as you keep playing and getting game overs, eventually you unlock new jokers, which are basically like modifiers that will increase usually your points in various ways, or they will give you some advantages, or anyway, people, I think I'm probably the last person on earth now who has played Balatro, so like I probably don't need to go that in depth about the mechanics, But yeah, like initially you don't do too well, and I was not really enjoying that. I was like, well, this is kind of bullshit, you know, like it's another one of those games where it's you know, kind of what's the word for them? Not roguelike, but
it is though.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And so, but like you kind of need to unlock some of the features before you can actually do well in them. But yeah, so anyway, I wasn't really feeling it too much. I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'm not really getting anywhere in this game. The game wants you to make like 8 antes. Is that how you pronounce that?
Ante.
Yeah.
Antes?
Yep.
Yeah. So eventually, after maybe, I don't know, a little bit less than, a few days of playing, I did make that. I was kind of surprised, like, oh, okay, it wasn't so bad. And I was like, okay, well, I considered that I probably finished the game. Clearly, this game got its hooks into people, and they just can't stop playing. But I think I'm different. I'm immune. It's not for me.
You're saying you're built different.
And then the next day, I was like, you know what I could do right now?
Nope, he was built exactly the same.
I could start a game. Yeah, I could start a game of Balatro right about now. And I was like, oh shit. Oh no.
Well, I feel like there's a very low barrier to entry once you get a bunch of jokers unlocked, and then there's also the planet cards and that kind of, like, once you grasp those mechanics and you're like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to start using, okay, so on this card, I'm going to use this tarot card to turn this into like a glass card. And then I'm going to, like, you know, use this planet card, because you get all of these modifiers. And once you figure out all the modifiers, you really start pushing the limits and seeing, like, oh, well, I think this would pair well with this modifier. And you can have modifiers that stack on modifiers. So you might have something where it says, okay, well, for every time you use, and you have modifiers for different hands. So every time you do, like, 3 of a kind, you'll get X amount of points for it.
Right.
And so you start to kind of say, like, oh, well, this modifier is if I get 3 of a kind, and then this modifier is for a 3 of a kind with this particular suit, you get this modifier, so you can kind of stack things on each other.
Yeah, and it just gets crazier and crazier as you unlock more stuff. And so I'm at the point. So the game has different colored decks. And so, like, when you finish the game, like 8 aunties, like, that's just basically the start of it. Then, like, they're like, well, to unlock this other deck, you want to finish the game with the yellow deck, which starts you out with a certain amount of money, but then you don't make as much like this other way later on. Or like the one I'm doing, I'm on I've done 4 decks. And so the 5th and I think the final one before I unlock the higher difficulty is the black deck. And this one gives you 1 joker more. You can have 1 more joker, but you have 1 less hand to play. So it's really hard to get going at first, but I almost managed to do it earlier today. And then I squandered it. And it fucking sucked, but it was entirely my fault because I tried to go too fast and I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. But, like, eventually, like, those jokers, like, you find really fun ways for them to interact together. And the game seems to sometimes pair, like, they give you the opportunity to pair some of those jokers that work well together. You know, like, it's pretty rare that you'll get one, like, usually if you decide, like, okay, I've got this joker, I'm going to try to build my deck towards this strategy. Usually the game will give you the jokers or the cards that you need to do that. So that's pretty good. But yeah, like, so I had, like, this amazing deck for a while and I squandered it. But, like, I had this joker that was like, all cards are face cards. You know, like, all of them, they count as if they're face cards. And then you've got other jokers that are like, all face cards have a multiplier. And then I had another card that was like, all face cards re-trigger, which basically means that they count twice. But when they re-trigger, like, let's say that you also had a joker that said, like, every time that you play a face card, you get 4 times added to your multiplier. then when that card retriggers and it's a face card, then like you get 8 times multiplier. You know, you get the points for the card, you get the multiplier that increases twice, and then like that happens with all the cards, even and since they're all face cards, that happens with all your cards. So you're making crazy amounts of points. But then, yeah, I squandered it because I was playing against a boss, and the condition there was that you have to play all 5 cards, otherwise you don't score points. And I went and squandered like some really good cards, but I didn't complete the hand like with 5 cards. So I just like, okay, that counts for 0. You're not allowed to do that. So I lost 1 hand out of like 3 that I could play. So that was kind of devastating. Like I would have won if I hadn't made that stupid mistake.
Yeah. Like what happens is you get to a point where you think you're just going to just dominate the game, and then they start putting conditions on you. Like you can only play a particular hand.
Oh, that one sucks.
Right.
Because you built
it's the worst because you'll sit there.
Built your whole deck.
Because the thing is, yeah, and you might not even have the best version of a particular hand, but you have no choice but to play it early, and then you're screwed because you may get more cards in the next time you're dealt that is that hand, but a better version of it, but you can't do it. You can't play it again, so you're just screwed. So you're stuck there like, okay, well, instead of a royal flush, I have to play a 3 of a kind because I can't play a royal flush again.
I mean, I've had opportunities where, because of the Arcana cards I got, I had basically rebuilt the deck into being a single. I with a mix of that plus Jokers, every card was treated as the same suite, regardless of what it was, and I had basically rebuilt the deck around that. And then I got that thing, and it was like, you can only play the type of hand once, and I'm like, my entire strategy is every hand is a flush regardless of what I play. I'm fucked. Like, and that was it. I was done. Like, I had a 1 in a million setup where literally every hand I played was a flush, because everything was a flush. And at a minimum, everything was a flush. And then it was like, nope, fuckface, you lose.
Yeah, like you just hit a wall, and then you're just kind of sitting there like, how did that happen?
Yeah, like it threw exactly the right landmine in front of me.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be sitting there, and you have to hit like 20,000 points, and you'll be getting like 63,000, and then the next thing it's like you need 30, and you get like 18,000, and you're just done, and the game is over.
Yeah. But there are also, like, like the setup is that every ante is made of like 3 parts, basically: the small blind, the big blind, and the boss. And you can skip the small and big blinds. And initially, I wasn't doing that because I thought, well, that must be like advanced shit, right? Like, but it turns out that once you know how the game works, you really have to pay attention to the advantages that skipping a blind will give you, because they do, like, there's like a description like, okay, well, you get a free foil joker, uncommon joker for, the next time or something. So sometimes that's useful. Like, maybe you don't have that much money, you're not going to be able to buy the cards that you want. So you might as well get a card that might not be the greatest, because it's, you don't get to choose it. But it's going to be free. And foil means that, like, you get the multiplier effect anyway. Like, that's a property of foil cards. So already, like, that might be good. But then you've also got other ones that are like, okay, well, for your next hand, you're going to have 3 additional cards in your hand. And so that can be huge when you look at the boss, where, the one where you can't play the same hand twice. If you've got a spread, like your hand actually contains like 11 cards, there are very few, the risk is very low that you're going to be unable to make different types of hands, and get the score that you need. So anyway, there are a lot of cool decisions. It's more than the cookie clicker, of course. But yeah, like, anyway, I guess you could say that I'm into this game. Right now, the hard decision that I have to make, I'm playing this on Game Pass. It's not one of those games that is very touch friendly if you're trying to play on a phone. Like it actually tries to emulate the gamepad and stuff, so it sucks for that. So I'm thinking like, do I also buy it on Switch? But then if I buy it on Switch, I'm done. I can't escape this game. Like at least like when it's on Xbox, like it's stuck to my TV, so I have to take a break from it. But if it's on a Switch, I could be playing it all the time, including when I'm watching TV.
Including right now.
I don't think that would be healthy. Yeah, exactly. I could be playing Balatro right now.
Is Balatro in the room with you as we're talking?
It's everywhere.
It is not.
Not yet.
I mean, it's on. Well, the thing is, once you start thinking about it, you're like, wow, it's on this platform too. Oh, well, I mean, it's cheap, right? I might as well pick it up. I mean, I'll play it at some point, right? Then the next thing you know, you're just a Balatro head.
Balatro head.
Sure.
Is that? Do you want? I'm gonna get. You know what? I'm gonna be magnanimous. Do you want a second shot at that? Do you want a second shot at that punchline, John? Are you good?
No, actually, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I'm totally good with it.
All right.
I'm completely signing that one off.
Some of us have shame, but I guess that's fine. Anything else, Guillaume?
I think we call ourselves the Balatroids. I don't know.
Wow.
Oh my God, we need a break. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break here. We come back. I think we might still have a little bit of new business left, but then we're going to, looking at the timeline, then we're probably going to end the show. Hey, look at that. But hey, we'll be back for some amount of time. Probably. Stay tuned. I never said what the date was. It's July 3rd, 2025. Okay, there, I've said it now. You can pretend like I said that at the start of the show, and I'm just reminding you it was July 3rd, 2025 when we recorded this. It's July. We're halfway through this year. Holy shit. Anyway, we're going to pick up our new business where we left off, and I'm going to let John talk because he hasn't had a ton to say so far. So, John, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so I picked up, it's funny because this is actually an old game for me that I was picking up. It was on sale on PS5, so I picked it up. But it's Cyberpunk 2077, and this is the Ultimate Edition. The reason why I got it is because of Phantom Liberty, which I have yet to play through. So, and it's suddenly relevant because this just came out on Switch 2. So, those two things just kind of overlap with each other, but not intentionally. So, Phantom Liberty is pretty cool. So of course this follows on to, this is like, it's basically another zone, that opens up on the south part of the map, of Night City. And so, of course, the star, the celebrity actor that they have here is, Idris Elba, who is fine. I mean, he plays a character named Solomon Reed, who is like this sort of disgraced. So this takes place in an area called Dogtown. I don't know if that has any skateboarding reference necessarily. It must, like Dogtown and Z-Boys kind of thing. But
yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So Dogtown is this kind of area that has been taken over by ex-military people. So it's shut off from the rest of Night City. You have to sneak into it to start off the DLC. Which is actually interesting, and that's one of the things I think is pretty cool about this game is that you have a lot of different ways you can do things. Because I mean, Cyberpunk at its core is like a first-person Grand Theft Auto game, really. And I didn't realize that until I started playing it. When I actually started to play through it, I was like, "Oh, geez, this is like pretty much Grand Theft Auto if it was a first-person shooter and an RPG." You know, so it's kind of like catnip for me because I love all those types of games. But with Dogtown, what's cool is that the game doesn't really tell you how to get there. It tells you sort of where it is. It kind of breadcrumbs you there, but then as soon as you get to Dogtown, you are faced with a massive military presence where if you try to walk through them, they grind you to a pulp. So you have to figure out how to kind of sneak in, and it's actually quite an exhaustive chore to get in there. But it's neat. I was like, wait a minute. So you can't just go there? You have to actually sneak in, and sure enough, you actually do have to sneak in. But yeah, so it's funny. It takes some cues kind of from, Escape from New York as well, because you have to rescue the president. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. And then, Idris Elba, he's this character, Solomon Reed, who is an ex-agent. And they've redone the skill trees and everything. So if you do have an old save of Cyberpunk lying around, one of the cool things about it is it's cross-save, so you can, I was able to use the progress that I had on Xbox and on Steam. I could just port that over. But the only thing, the only thing I that it didn't port over onto PS5 is, I don't think the pre-order bonus that I had on Xbox for Phantom Liberty, I don't think that actually came over, the car that you get. I don't think that applies. And of course, also when you move it over, this would be the same thing on Switch if you had an existing save, is that it doesn't trigger any of the achievements that you have. It's not like some games where if you've done it, like Diablo was like this, where when you log in, I think both Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 are like this, where it will, you'll log into the game the first time on a new platform, and it'll just sit there. Like if you log in on Steam, it'll sit there and it'll just unlock a whole bunch of achievements, because there's sort of platform level achievements and then there's kind of personal level achievements. And so there's a list of achievements in Diablo 3 and 4 where you will just get them no matter what, but then there's more things that are more kind of character based, I guess you could call them. I think there's character level and then sort of global achievements. It's not like that here. Like I didn't really get any achievements, but I think the only achievements I've gotten so far on PS5 is just a couple of things like Dogtown. Like, there's like finding all the fast travel points. Well, that's kind of that goalpost gets moved when you open up Dogtown because there's simply more fast travel. So I don't think I'd unlocked that completely. So it unlocked that at the start when I opened up Dogtown. But yeah, it's a pretty cool story. I mean, Cyberpunk, I'd actually be very curious to see how this runs on Switch 2. Because I mean, it's certainly, I mean, I'm playing it on a PS5 Pro now, so there's no problem running it. But really I'd be curious, like there's a lot of stuff where this game, it trades heavily on just having a very immersive world that looks very realistic for what it is, for this kind of dystopian sort of just destroyed area. Like one of the main parts in Dogtown is this ruined stadium. And so, one of the first hideouts that you get to, it has like a complete view of like the stadium in the background. So it's kind of like, sort of like Xenoblade X, where, one of the greatest things about that game is that you can see a long way. I'd be curious if that would translate to Cyberpunk as well, because it's pretty impressive, really how far away and the level of detail that you can see. But I would imagine that they could probably get away with it pretty well on Switch 2, because, this game, certainly when it was released, it had its issues, certainly didn't run well on PlayStation 4. We were just talking about that earlier. Yeah.
In the past tense, to be specific.
Yeah, and PS4, it's no longer on the PlayStation Store. So
Sony pulled it because it was so bad.
Yeah.
And it was when I say bad, it was a PR black eye, not because the game was bad. There are much worse games on the PS4. Mm-hmm. But I guess it never made its way back.
No, I don't think they ever allowed it back. It just didn't run well, right? So
yeah.
Since the Switch 2, by all accounts, is, definitely more powerful than a PlayStation 4, I would say. I think that's the case here.
Or at least more capable.
Yeah.
Because it's got newer technology in it.
Yep. So I would think that it would be, at least I would think that it would be more optimized and wouldn't be as goofy.
But Phantom Liberty seems to perform better anyway.
Yeah. But like, Phantom Liberty was also, I think, just PS5. I think.
Right.
I don't think you could. Yeah. I mean, it came out. In other words, it came out after. I think it was only optimized on PS5. They didn't even bother with it on PS4. But yeah, I mean, to anybody that's thinking about getting this on Switch 2, I mean, the actual game itself is great. It's super fun. There's a ton of stuff to do. I probably have about 130 hours in it or something. It's one of those games where it's kind of like Skyrim, where you can just dick around doing all kinds of stuff. Like there's always a main campaign quest, but there's all kinds of faction stuff that you can do. There's all kinds of different, jobs that you can run for people. And then, there's sort of like, you can have like partners, and there's like kind of like romance sort of stuff in it, and you can like date people and like go out on dates with people, and there's like entire storylines around that, which sounds cheesy if you say it, but it's actually really well done, where you get to learn about the background of this other person that you're involved with and everything. So this game is much, much, much better than what I ever thought it would be. I had pretty low expectations when I first played it, but it's really, really cool. So assuming it runs well, I mean, I think if somebody's looking for a really good action RPG on Switch 2, I mean, this would definitely fit the bill. Night City is really cool. You can edit how you look, and there's all kinds of, like, the skill tree has all kinds of different builds that you can do, and you can, like, right now my character is kind of like a shotgun build that can also go berserk and has like augmented arms and augmented legs, so you can double jump in the air, which lets you kind of get to other places that you normally wouldn't be able to get to, kind of almost Metroid style. So it's a very, very cool game. So I would definitely recommend it, and the version on the Switch 2 has Phantom Liberty built into it. So which what I like about it is that it feels like it's like a natural. It feels like it probably could have been part of the first game. It doesn't really feel bolted on. It really meshes well with the rest of the story, and it takes a little while, but you eventually get back to the point. Like when you first start, you're stranded in Dogtown, but then you eventually open it up so that you can go back and forth, and so it just feels like kind of a natural extension of the first part of the game, rather than some sort of really, really different and updated DLC, even though they did revamp the skill tree and add a few other things, like vehicular combat and stuff like that. And they've added stuff like races, so you can hijack cars, right? That's one of the things you can do. Not really a main part of gameplay, but if you want, you can just, because you already have a bunch of vehicles that you can choose from, but you can go and, hijack any car that you want and steal it. So very much like a GTA style game. So if you're looking for that kind of game, definitely give Cyberpunk 2077 a try.
Cool. Yeah, I keep thinking about it, but maybe after it comes down in price on Switch too.
Yeah.
Or just on the Xbox. I don't know. I'll figure something out.
Yep.
Greg.
Yes. Well, other than Mario Kart, we did have, just yesterday, we talked about this last week, they announced Mario Strikers, the original Super Mario Strikers, or as I was reminded by the the UK YouTube channel, it was called Mario Smash Football over here, because I guess they just had to get the football in there.
Was the Smash part of it too? Like, why?
Yeah, the Smash part is a little bit odd. They did not keep that for subsequent these sort of games, right? Because Mario Strikers Charged became Mario Strikers Charged Football, right? Okay, and the most recent one for Switch went from Battle League to Battle League Football. So they just added the word football. Why the Smash thing came in? Just, I guess, they felt like they had to have something that was, more kinetic, to get across the field. So, well, it's football, but it's not like that football. It's a weird kind of football, I guess. And that's the thing. I mean, so this was the first time that Nintendo worked with Next Level Games, who these days, of course, they own outright, and kind of very closely kind of trusted partners who are making things like Luigi's Mansion 3 that's sold very well and all that. But it wasn't the first game that Next Level ever did. I think that you had developers that had broken away from teams that had worked on stuff like Sega Soccer Slam, which has Strikers had a fair bit in common with, and like NHL Hits. And I think the first game that Next Levels that actually came out was another NHL Hits, and then Strikers. And of course, after that, you had things like Punch Out for Wii, and then moving into the 3DS era. Of course, Luigi's Mansion 2 was a big one. Federation Force, which, for all the bizarreness around it is actually, quite successful at what it's trying to do. Although, obviously it wasn't that easy to get like a good kind of squad together on 3DS, given the way online worked and all that. But, it was actually, pretty good there. And then, of course, Luigi's Mansion 3 and the most recent Mario Strikers, is the most recent thing they've done. But yeah, this was the beginning of that. And of course, when you go back to the very beginning, it's pretty similar. Really, it hasn't changed terribly much. I mean, I think there was a fair amount of lack of enthusiasm surrounding the most recent one on Switch. I guess it wasn't the most sort of expansive game, or the most sort of drastic reinvention of the game series, given that it had been away for a long time, dating back to the Wii game, which was in 2007, I think. So, I guess that in part tells you that, the things hadn't, there wasn't the most tremendous amount of things added to that first game over the years, but there's some key differences which kind of stick out now going back to it. I guess the first thing is what they added to the Wii game. One of the things they added to the Wii game was the charge mechanic, which is like basically, okay, if you might have a player that is in enough space to like just charge up, but instead of shooting, they can then pass it, but the sort of charge stays with the ball for a while. And so you can do a quick kind of one-timer type thing in hockey parlance, which is, fair enough to use because it owes a lot to hockey, this particular interpretation of five-a-side football. And then all that power that you built up with the other player is still sort of, contained in the ball, and it will be a powerful shot as a result. That's not in this game. So, it's kind of, I guess you could go either way on that, but I kind of like that mechanic myself. It kind of, it forces everyone to be very, active all the time. It's like if you give anyone time and space, even if they're not really in a shooting position, that can be taken advantage of, and I feel like that's kind of keeps it really kind of energetic in that way, what they added to the Wii game. And then what they added to the Switch game, to be fair to it, I think was like an ability to kind of play passes into a particular direction or an area rather than to a player specifically, right? And I think that is a big deal because, if you've ever played more simulation type soccer stuff, or even fairly arcadey ones, through balls, as we tend to call them, in football parlance, are a big part of it, right? Where it's you're playing into space. You're not playing it to a person per se. I mean, you might have an idea of who's going to run onto the ball, but you're playing it into a void, where the defense might be pushed up, playing a high line, you play beyond it, and someone, with good pace, presumably, could just run after it, right? Well, you don't really have that kind of option so much in this early version, whereas in the Switch game you do. And people have found some interesting ways in the Switch game to kind of take advantage of that. They do stuff deliberately chip the ball off the barriers to get the keeper to move out of position, and then they essentially do a 1-2 with the wall and then shoot, and the keeper can't deal with that sometimes, and they score. But generally speaking, it kind of just makes it so you've got more options when you're attacking, and kind of gives it a little bit more of an actual kind of football feel. So those couple of things, when you're going back to this sort of basics, you do miss, but it still seems to function quite well. It still seems, like you could have some, quite a lot of fun with it. And, to some extent, maybe there's some things that were added in those the Wii game and the Switch game that you could consider to be more extraneous than the features that I've just mentioned. Last week I talked about the keeper mini game for the multi-strike in the Wii game, or the equipment, for instance, in the Switch game, which gives you very granular control over the different stats and stuff. I guess you could go either way, or whether that's something that's a welcome bit of depth, or it's just frippery. Maybe if you get that's up to anybody else here. It's not immediately obvious what the kind of distinctions are between the relatively modest number of captains that you get to pick from. The spiel is quite weird. So you go to pick like Yoshi or something. It's like, yes, well, he's a like a sort of level-headed captain or something. So what has this got to do with anything? How does this translate into the game? It's maddeningly vague. Stuff like that. But I have not played it enough and don't remember well enough from playing it back in 05, because I did have it back then. Yeah, but what the kind of differences are between the captains. But, I would have thought it'd be it's a good pick for an NSO scenario because it's just something you can kind of pick up and play multiplayer with without there are unlocks, there are like single player cups and stuff, but I don't think you'd really need to engage with any of that before you could enjoy stuff, because it can be a bit of a problem. You got a little bit of it with F-Zero GX we talked about, right? It's like you've only got the 4 original cars to start with, and then you'd have to unlock all this stuff. Like it's got a nice service of a game where it's just like, but yeah, there's stuff to unlock, but you pretty much got a lot of what you need to be able to enjoy it with a friend just there up front. It's simple, it's accessible, very arcadey. I think you'd be able to get on with it pretty fast if it's the kind of thing that appeals to you. For me, I'm kind of hoping that we get the Sluggers, the baseball game, at some point, because that's the one I didn't have out of the lot. I had Mario Golf, which was very good on GameCube. Mario Tennis, which was more in the kind of, maybe it's this is kind of frippery category with the power shots and stuff, but it was still enjoyable. And Strikers, but I did not have Sluggers. And I think Sluggers, weirdly, the GameCube one came out in Europe, the Wii one did not. Which, that kind of is like backwards almost, considering how much more popular Wii was in Europe. You would think that anything would have a better chance there, but that's not how it went. But I'll hopefully that it's not, that is not one of the games that's been confirmed so far. So judging by the pace that they're setting here, where it's like, okay, 4 weeks after that initial batch of 3, we get another one. You can guess, probably how long it's going to be, while they work through all the ones that are confirmed. So yeah, stuff like Sluggers or, Toadstool Tour, the golf game, could be a while. But they should be pretty enjoyable when they arrive eventually.
I'm not sold yet. I've never had the expansion pack with the C. I'm not sold yet. I feel like they could still do it, but I'm not sure what the breaking point for me would be. Like, we have the list of things they've shown. I'm trying to pull it up.
We got the GameCube Fire Emblem is one of the interesting things for me, because I didn't get to play that, and that was very expensive. It became very expensive because
I was thinking maybe like, what do we think of a Chibi Robo retroactive?
Oh yeah, Chibi, because I had that on Wii, the new Play Control version, but I kind of had to play through it with a guide because that was only in Japan. So it'd be nice to actually play in English.
I'm trying to think what GameCube game would get me. Like, what would be the one that makes me go, fuck, they got me this time, you bastards. Tube Slider. Obviously, it's Tube Slider.
Of course.
You would just have to cope with F-Zero GX.
Why would I want that? Why would I want that game? Tube Slider's a good game. Come on.
It has sections that could be described as tubes.
Do you slide in them, though? That's the question. It's important.
It doesn't F-Zero GX. I never knew this at the time. But obviously, we were talking about, techniques or, tips with F-Zero GX last week. I think there was some sort of like snaking bullshit in that game. I did not know about it.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So yeah, maybe that's sliding and you do it in tube-like sections. So I mean, you're almost there.
Can we just loop the tube-like sections so I don't have to leave them? I need to stay in the tubes. It's vital to my well-being that I remain in the tubes, which might actually be the episode title now that I think about it. Do they own that? I mean, because it was made by
ND Cube.
ND Cube.
Yeah.
Maybe they do.
They might own that.
I like how readily we had that information in our brains.
I know. The amount of stuff I can't seem to bloody recall these days, and that's like right there. It's really annoying.
Those motherfuckers who make Mario Party took a week off and made Tube Slider. It might have actually just been a week based on how that game plays. It's so fucking terrible.
I gotta say, not so much. It isn't to do with the GameCube games. It's not a very auspicious start in terms of what they're going to be doing with NSO away from the Switch 2 exclusive.
The answer appears to be nothing. 4
weeks with fuck all in between those GameCube updates. Not an auspicious. I thought we'd get some kind of like, don't worry guys, because there's a Switch 1, Switch 2 kind of dichotomy, but there's also the base tier and expansion pack dichotomy that you've already mentioned. So you would have thought something, just even if it might seem quite kind of perfunctory, would just be like, we're not forgetting about it, guys. The Switch 1 stuff or base tier stuff. Here's something. It's gonna keep getting supported. Don't.
Oh, are you too good for Brawl Brothers? Is that what you're saying, Greg?
I know there's a lot of games that they've already made available on those systems, and I haven't played them all, no way, and even ones that I'm actually interested in. So I mean, it is a bit silly in a way, but I'm not really even talking about it from my point of view. I'm just thinking about it as like, look, these people that are paying you subscription, a subscription fee on a monthly basis or however they're doing it, you don't want to give them a reason to feel like the drip feeds, as modest as it might feel at times, has in fact turned off for them because they don't have the expansion pack or they don't have a Switch 2. So I'm surprised.
Paying for the privilege of 3 NES golf games and Iggy's Iggy's Wrecking Balls is in the premium. This is a premium product.
It is.
Iggy's Wrecking premium product. Jesus. Like, I'm just going through the list right now. I forgot how bad it is. How much fucking Kirby is on it. Jesus Christ, there's so much Kirby on here.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, yes, but also variety would have been... More variety.
There's, you look at the NES and the Super NES stuff. It's a lot of games, and some of it goes places that's a little bit more different, like especially
Nightshade.
Like, was it the Umihara Kawase or whatever, stuff like that. I mean, that's like really, way out there kind of stuff that I do appreciate.
Quest for fucking Camelot.
That's also way out there in its own way. Like with licensed stuff, always seems like it's so low probability, and of all the things that
you can name your baby Shadow Man on the N64 expansion pack.
I thought that was Turok. Jesus. I thought they did do the same gag twice, did they? Bloody hell!
Shadow Man was in there. Some sort of tombstone thing.
It was a different gimmick, was it?
One of the games was you could put I think it was Shadow Man. You could put like a tombstone screen on your grave for money. It's just fucked up. One of them was the infamous bloodvertising, which is they wanted to have the ads at UK bus shelters bleed. It's classy, I know.
That's the problem these days, and everything's everyone's so terrified of stuff like that. All you get now is just them putting up a billboard that says Metroid Prime 4's out now when it's not. That's bloodvertising. That's what qualifies as excitement now, is just getting things wrong.
Yeah. Shadow Man was the one where they tried to rent space on tombstones. Which is not that's not.
Oh man, those were good times in the industry.
If we had AI writing assistants back then, when you typed that sentence, it would say, "Did you mean to type this? Are you okay? Do I need to call medical equipment?" That was specifically for
I don't know whether AI. This is the kind of thing I imagine AI might. When I was at university, my director of studies was a very exquisitely mild-mannered person, just the nicest person you could ever imagine, working with or whatever. If there was something that you probably have got horrifically wrong in something you submitted, the ink on your essay would say, consider revising. That's what I'm imagining the AI saying that about your marketing plan to use tombstones as ads.
When I used to TA, I got stuck TAing a religion class, which is funny in and of itself. But I just put a frowny face when I encountered things like that. I'm like, no, just please. This section made me upset. It wasn't for the first Shadow Man game. It was for the sequel, Shadow Man: Two Eckend Coming, 2ENCOND.
I'm glad we don't do stuff like that anymore. With it's like every Resident Evil game does that. It's like,
it's so bad. Two Eckend Coming. It's Shadow Man. That's beautiful. But no, it's not bloodvertising. It's not Name Your Baby Shadow Man. That was Turok. It's always the UK marketing brands. I don't understand. I just don't get it.
It's just trying too hard. That's just, surely the hustle, James. Do you not respect it?
No, I don't actually, because they never actually succeeded. If they had put Shadow Man on a single fucking tombstone, I'd feel better about it.
I said that.
If they did it one time, because right now it just feels like they're just doing a J&J segment. I mean, John, this is, if there had been one more telethon, we should have just done a bloodvertising segment. We just have, if you make a donation, you get to tell us what game you want us to bloodvertise, and we'll bloodvertise it for you. We have to set some ground rules. Has to be a real game. Has to have come out in the last 2 years. Gladiator Sword of Vengeance, also Acclaim, because Acclaim couldn't be fucking stopped. Was billed as, quote, the bloodiest video game ever. And, advertisements in blood shelters where cartridges of red dye would be placed behind clear sheets of film and released over a 6-day period. The, quote, blood will slowly appear to spill out onto the streets and drip onto the pavement.
See, now I'm thinking, can we combine this with the guy in the DK costume bursting out? The DK costume guy bursts out and then vomits blood like it's a red version of The Exorcist. And, look, the faces, they'll be shocked. And with good reason.
That's right. But you know what? You could do it at the DK theme park now. Think of the people will have their cameras out already, kind of filming the background, and boom, social media clout. Oh, it's beautiful. I forgot about them spray painting pigeons. Again, Acclaim. Again, their UK branch. They did it for Virtua Tennis 2 during Wimbledon in the hopes that it would attract attention during Wimbledon. It's fucking insane. I really want to go find Acclaim's marketing director from that area and just what is he doing?
There's probably some sort of dopey documentary in it. It's just
he's got to be dead, right? He's got to have had a huge cocaine habit. There's no way. You don't come up with, we're going to spray paint pigeons and release them during Wimbledon to attract the attention of our tennis game, unless you are doing absolute fucking 8 balls from morning to night.
And you're like, wait a minute. His name was Rick James? Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Can you imagine sobering up after just doing rails all day and being like, wait, what did I sign off on? Why are you spray painting pigeons? Oh, I miss you. Think of, it's been a tough week for the industry, specifically Microsoft, who's decided that they were just going to slash and burn their own departments. But here on RFN, we're talking about a simpler time. We're talking about acclaim and bloodvertising. Never had a good idea in their life. And managed to continue on for what, 20 years? There's beauty in that. It's like a passing ship in the night that immediately set itself on fire because they thought it'd be a cool idea to shoot fireworks off from their main deck. But it's fine. Oh my God, John, this can't be real. The marketing director for these, his name was Larry Sparks. There's no way, right? There's no way that's a real name. That has to be
an alias. That has to be an alias.
That is too on the fucking nose for fucking Paul Marketing 2.0 over. Are we going to have Larry Sparks Marketing now? It's like an extreme version of Paul Marketing.
Larry Sparks. That sounds like something from a movie.
That sounds like a porn name.
Yeah, that's a character that would have been an advertising executive played by Dabney Coleman.
I was thinking, now coming to the main stage, Larry Sparks.
Yeah.
God. No, actually, it sounds like a WCW name. That's what it is. Lord. All right, we've wasted enough time. And I mean that not specifically in this episode. I mean sort of writ large for RFN as a collective. But for today, we have wasted enough of time. And on that thought of, hey, somebody don't harass Larry Sparks, but if he's working for your company in the marketing department, let me know. Just email rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. I need to know. I need to know what Larry Sparks is up to. We need eyes on Larry Sparks to make sure he doesn't have the marketing budget. Releasing spray painted what? How does that get people to... Oh my God. They put out a press release. It's insane. It's insane. Guillaume's talking about his PETA game. I can't imagine how PETA felt about that. Fuck. What?
They wish they had the idea.
Sure, we just kill animals. I spray painting them. It's genius. We need to spray paint some animals to raise RFN awareness. But you can help us by I'm not asking you to go out and spray paint an animal. I want to be clear. Those two sentences in proximity may have implied that was what I was asking our listeners to do. I am explicitly asking you to not do that. Do not. But to raise awareness of Radio Free Nintendo, you could send us an email. You might ask, well, how does sending you an email about the podcast you run raise awareness of your show? My answer to you is stop asking questions. RFN@NintendoWorldReport.com. That's RFN@NintendoWorldReport.com. Giving you the maximum narrator voice. RFN@NintendoWorldReport.com. That's where you can send your questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, marketing pitches, updates on Larry Sparks' LinkedIn profile. Your bloodvertising ideas? I don't know. Fuck it. Get weird. You already do. Stop you. So I just may as well lean into the skid. That's RFN@NintendoWorldReport.com. Greg, music. It's time for music. I haven't got to ask about music.
Sure. Well, just in the last 15 minutes or so, on the East Coast anyway, we have entered the 4th of July in America. So, happy 4th of July to all our American listeners. I hope they've all had a wonderful weekend by the time this will be going out. But of course, well, how do we tie that into music? Well, 28 years ago, right at the end of June, in North America, Star Fox 64 came out. And I don't think it's any secret that the developers of Star Fox 64 had very much seen the preceding year's release, Independence Day, because there's a level that is just a little bit patterned on a sequence with the giant alien ship hovering over, the skyscraper and delivering the death beam through it and all that. So, it's like, definitely want to go with that. But it's a question of what version to go with, because my instinct was perhaps to go with the actual, N64 music from back in the day, because of just the authenticity of that. But I gotta say, the like much of it, and we did talk about this a while back when I used a song from Star Fox Assault before. A lot of the Star Fox Assault soundtrack for GameCube, going back to James talking about that Triforce partnership, with Namco, Sega, and Nintendo in the aughts, that kind of helped create Star Fox Assault. Well, a lot of the soundtrack in that was orchestral versions of Star Fox 64 songs, and they are just a lot better. Frankly, it's just, the N64 instrumentation, as we know with N64, a lot of it was a question of how much of the resources of the system did you want to dedicate to it. Because, it didn't have its own separate sound sort of chip, essentially. So it's like, okay, well, if you want to have better sounding kind of instrument quality and all that, you're going to have to dedicate more resources, and it's going to affect performance. So it's kind of understandable why certain games, like F-Zero had like mono sound to help maintain the 60 frames a second action, for instance. So there were trade-offs and stuff, but hey, they got to do a much more convincingly bombastic version of the Katina theme. That's the stage where you fight off the giant flying saucer kind of thing in Star Fox 64, and I think it sounds great.
Cool. All right. Well, on that, it is time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Later.
Bye-bye.